In this video, we're going to cover section 2, graphing one variable inequalities on a number line. In order to graph one variable inequalities, we need to understand when to use an open circle and a closed circle to indicate what values are possible. When we are going to work with an open circle, you will see a less than or greater than sign, meaning that I want to be, for instance, in number 1, bigger than 3, but I do not want to include it, where closed circles will be less than or equal to signs or greater than or equal to signs. Because you want to include the values. So a closed circle, again, you want to include the value. So you'll place a closed circle on the number line, and an open circle I don't want to include. So on number 1 here, we have x is greater than 3. So I want to show, again, all of the possible values. I'm going to put an open circle on 3, and I want to be bigger than 3, and so then I would have an arrow extending to the right. You can draw on the number line itself, or you could draw above the number line and extend the array to indicate greater than or less than. On number 2, it says x is less than 4. So again, we're going to use an open circle at 4, and we want to be smaller, so it's going to be all of the values pointing to the left that are smaller than 4. So it does not matter if I have positive or negative numbers. This is an open circle pointing to the right because I want values that are bigger than 3. And this is x is less than 4, so I want values smaller. On example number 3, we have x equals 4. In this particular problem, this is not an inequality, but this is an equality. I only want the value of 4, so I'm going to have a closed circle on 4. On example number 4, it says that x is greater than or equal to 2. So because it says greater than or equal to, I'm going to have a closed circle at 2. And I want to be greater than 2 as well, so I will also extend to the right to indicate values bigger than 2. Go ahead and pause this video, try number 5, and think about what your answer would be for number 6. When you are done thinking about number 5 and 6, go ahead and hit play and compare answers. On example number 5, it says x is less than or equal to 2, and so in this particular example, we want to have a closed circle again, and I want values smaller than 2. So again, sometimes it's hard to see on the number line itself. I'm going to grab my eraser tool here, maybe. Yeah, it's kind of plain hard to get. And I'm going to go ahead and draw above the number line so it's a little bit easier to see. Sorry that my pen is going everywhere. So again, it was a closed circle at 2, and I want values smaller. So something else is that the position, if your variable is first, the way this arrow is facing is the way that your line then would face. Okay. On example number 6 here, we have x does not equal 1. So that means it could be anything except for 1. So I'm going to have an open circle at 1, but I'm also going to extend to the right, and I'm going to extend to the left, so I can have any value except for 1. On example 7 and 8, these are called compound inequalities. because there is more than one constraint, okay? So this is saying that -1 is less than x is less than 2. So this is an AND situation on example 7. I need x to be bigger than -1 and I need x to be smaller than 2. So I need to again use two circles on this problem. So I'm going to have an open circle at -1 and I'm going to have a closed circle at 2. And so this AND situation is going to be indicated by this segment in between my open and closed circle. So it's showing that those are all of my possible values, with the x is sandwiched here in between. So you can think of the word sandwich is an AND. I need it to be true for both. I need the values between, okay? So we're going to find the values between the two circles. Where on number 8, this is an OR situation. Notice that then my arrows are going to face in opposite directions on my number line. So if I want to be bigger than this or smaller than this, so my arrows are going to face in opposite directions. So on number 8 here it says x is going to be smaller than -2. So I'm going to have an open circle at -2. I'm going to point to the left to show the value smaller than -2, but then it says or x is greater than 3. So I'm going to have another open circle and I'm going to face to the right. So this was a quick rundown over number line inequalities. So you have one single x and one constraint here. We have one circle and arrows facing the proper direction, but then we also had two scenarios that were called compound inequalities, where I have two circles on the number line. I'm either in between, where the x is in between the inequality symbols, or I have two separate situations, so I have two arrows that are facing opposite of each other. This concludes section 2 notes.